Hello, and welcome to our presentation today. I am Craig Wells, the Chief Pharmacist at Compound Pharmaceutical Technologies, and today we're going to be talking about weight loss. I know that that's a pretty important topic, especially this time of year. A lot of people make New Year's resolutions that they want to start eating better and start dieting and start losing weight, to get into the gyms, start getting healthier. I know the gyms always gets kind of busy about this time of the year. And we're now in the end of January. February is knocking on the door. Many of you have probably not made that commitment yet, have not started in that process of what you are hoping to do is to lose weight and to eat healthier, to be healthy. We know that our culture today in the United States that the studies have come out and they're telling us that we're in an epidemic because of an epidemic of obesity. Obesity causes health concerns down the road. You have diabetes, cardiovascular health issues, cerebral vascular, whether it be strokes. So there's a lot of things that come along with excess weight, high blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. But it's just, everybody knows that we need to do this. It's hard because of our culture, where we are in our society today. Everything's processed, everything's provided for us from manufacturers, and we don't eat whole foods like we used to, like our grandparents, at least my grandparents did years and years ago. But that's just where we are. We got to start eating healthier. We actually got to start eating smarter and start eating healthier in ways that we know that we can change and make impacts on our health. And this is a presentation that I think will be encouraging to you. I hope that it will give you some ideas, give you some direction to the point where you can see that this is doable. And this is something that I can participate in to get me on track, to start changing some of those bad habits and to start creating the good habits that's going to be healthy for us to be able to get us to where we need. I'm getting close to 60. I don't want to get into my late 60s and get into my 70s and have a very diminished quality of life, just health issues, whether they be recovering from a heart attack or stroke or a lot of different things. So we've got to be very careful and to try to do our best to do better. And I think this is a good topic to help you maybe show you a way that we can do it and we can do it right. And we're going to be talking about a cleanse and detox program, a protocol that we've developed here at CPT that's I think should be foundational to any weight loss program or system. Whether you're already in the gym and you're already made that decision that I'm going to get healthy again, I'm going to get in shape, I'm going to start losing some weight, I think that the foundation should be a good cleanse and detox. I think if you do that, you can cleanse out the garbage that's been accumulating over time and to help your body in that process of doing that. And I think it's very important. In the United States, I think we consume way too much processed foods, refined foods, and foods that cause inflammation. And not to mention the environmental toxins that are causing issues with our health. And it's just because of where we are in conditions that we work in, conditions that we live in, the foods that certain types of products that we consume by mouth, orally, products that's in our cosmetics that is harmful to our health that we need to be mindful of. We need to talk about it a little bit more. I know that the town that I grew up in and where I'm from is a small rural town, but it's actually grown now to a large town more than anything else, and it's due to the paper mills that are in the area. We got about 5 or 6 paper mills within a 60-mile radius and in all directions. So you got to understand that there's toxins that's there because of the industry that we have to deal with, and sometimes where you work may be involved in chemicals and toxins that are harmful to our bodies. You know, I've known people that's had some issues because of working in a health food industry where they have to clean everything at the end of the night or end of the day, and certain chemicals and cleansers that have to be used, of course, is causing problems. So just be aware of those type of things. But there's things that we can affect and things that we can change, and that's our diet and what we consume. And it's very, very important because that's our main source of entry of anything that we put into our bodies is through our mouth. So be aware. Our body is working overtime to clear the harmful toxins out of our bodies, and our bodies just can't keep up with the demand. So there's a lot of accumulation that will come along with that, but I'm offering an opportunity to hopefully, I think, to show you that there's a solution that we can actually help the body clear these toxins out of our body. Presently, I'm on a day 16 of a 21-day cleanse that I started. I feel better than I've felt in a long time. It's hard to imagine the difference. It's hard to explain the difference that I feel, but I will tell you that I have more energy than I've ever had in a long time. I've got more stamina, more vitality. I sleep better. I feel better. I don't go home exhausted in the afternoon or think that I have the energy and try to sit down and read and fall asleep in my recliner. That hasn't happened the 16 days that I've been on this cleanse. So I'm hoping to provide you with a solution that you too can get on track to a healthier lifestyle and a healthier living. Just to give you an idea of where I am on that day 16, I've actually lost 10 pounds. I've lost 2 inches in my waist, the middle part, and that's crucial. I'll explain the significance of that a little bit later. But I still have about 10 more pounds, 5 to 10 more pounds to go. I want to lose a total of 15 to 20. So I'm almost there. And I want to lose a total of about 4 inches in my middle, halfway there. So it's going to take some time to do it. But like I say, we're going to have a part 2 to this presentation. This is part 1, a presentation on what is a detox and a cleanse and how it affects the body and how it helps and the benefits from it. Part 2, we'll be discussing the practicality of the protocol. To actually start talking about some of its components and how it works and what to expect and the different variations that we can do on it based on each individual's needs or desires. But this is encouraging. It's the benefits that I've gotten out of it shows you that it's something about it. It's something to do. I know that this is the second time that I've done a detox and cleanse in my life. Did one about 5-6 years ago. Lost about 25 pounds in 2 months. Of course, I wound up gaining it back because I wasn't disciplined enough and committed enough to continue with a healthy lifestyle, and of course I gained my weight back. And of course now, because of that, I've got some issues that I need to address to correct. The middle part is a good indication. If you have weight gain in your middle, it's a good indication you have metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is an increase in glucose, but also increase in insulin, which also has an increase of blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides. All that is considered a syndrome X, and it's all tied together. That if you have insulin resistance, which is shown by the increase in abdominal weight gain, that you have syndrome X, and many people do. I counsel a lot of patients, and you'd be surprised at the amount of people that have metabolic syndrome, or syndrome X is another title for it. So with any type of weight loss protocol, the goal is to to improve the overall health by decreasing the risk of disease. The protocol is designed to correct and prevent insulin resistance. That's the first thing, and if you can prevent that, you can actually enhance weight control or weight loss. The protocol is very important for that. You would be surprised at the people that are insulin resistant. It is also correct, will also correct the high cholesterol, triglycerides that we mentioned earlier, and also will, of course, help with cardiovascular health. I don't know if you know it or not, but our immune system is very, very important in fighting the different things that attack it every day. But nobody knows that 70 to 80% of our immune system comes from our gut. So if you have a dysfunctional gut or unhealthy gut, you're going to have some immune issues. A lot of people that I counsel with autoimmune diseases that in the counseling, I found out that there's a lot of inflammation going on, and a lot of it's due to a faulty immune system. So a lot of our goals in those people, of course, is to get the gut health correct and to improve their immune system. A good cleanse and detox also will help maintain good brain health. You will have improvement in focus, mood, and you'll also see a big benefit in restorative sleep. Some people will say they sleep, but they just don't feel good when they wake up. They're still a little tired. I can tell you that I've gone to bed sometimes because of different things, issues that whether, just staying up watching a program or working on something for work, that I stayed up to 1 or 2 o'clock or at least 1:30 and still jumped out of bed and got to work and did not even slow down as far as the energy level whatsoever. It's just amazing the restorative sleep that you can actually get from a good cleanse. Another benefit I've noticed is probably the most noticeable, of course, as I've mentioned, is that energy level. So just be aware that that means a lot to a lot of people. Enough people that I counsel and talk to that's the biggest problem they have. They just don't have any fatigue, any energy. They got any energy and they have a lot of fatigue. A good cleanse and detox will improve the function of many parts of the body. Even at the basic level, the cellular level, it improves a lot of the metabolic processes that go on in each individual cell of our body. The cleanse and detox will restore gut health, as I've mentioned, and also improves healthy skin, improves the health of your skin, and even at the look and feel. So that's a definite benefit that will be noticed, that I've actually noticed a little bit myself. It will also cleanse your liver, your kidneys, and your lymph system, and these areas are very important for eliminating the waste in our body, the toxins that come in that need to be eliminated. It's done by the kidney and the liver and the lymph system, so it's very important that we provide support for that. A lot of people will tell you that doing the detox and cleanse, that they will see a lot of benefits, and first of all, foremost, of course, is weight loss. A lot of them will talk about weight control, which they'll tell you that there's been a decrease in blood sugar, carbohydrates, and decrease in carbohydrate cravings, decrease in cholesterol, and of course an increase in energy and vitality, which is something that I've told you that I've noticed. There's been a report of better digestion and gut health. And that's one thing that I hadn't mentioned concerning me, that there has been better digestion. That's something that I've had problems with, some gut issues as far as gastroparesis or delayed gastric emptying, some other GI issues that I've not seen since I started to cleanse. So it's been good. Other noticeable benefits that people will tell you is that they have clearer thinking, more concentration, less anxiety, and a better mood. I've mentioned improved sleep, but also something significant too when you're talking about the immune system is that people report less allergy symptoms and lessening of the stuffy nose, and of course this time of year there's a lot of that. So this is important, and clearer skin. And one big thing too that some people have reported is less water retention and less bloating, and that's important for a lot of people. The program that we'll be talking more in detail about in part 2 of our presentation that will come later is that there's one regular meal per day, and the rest of it's going to be supplemented with different types of protein powders and such as that. But the thing about it is that one meal is going to be very, very important to the point to where the food choices that we make during our cleanse and detox, even though this one meal a day, is going to be very, very crucial. So we've got to make sure that we make the right choices. The carbohydrates, protein, and fat choices are all vital. Sugar, of course, everybody knows this to some degree. We've got to radically, and the word is radically, eliminate sugar from our diet as much as possible, if totally as possible. And whether it be in foods or even the things that we drink, the liquids that we drink. Weight loss is weight loss will not happen unless we eliminate sugar. It's just not going to happen, no matter how hard we try. So, but one thing about reducing sugar is also it's going to help with improved insulin resistance. So that's going to be an added benefit. It's just our body's not made to take in that many carbohydrates, that many calories, because what's not been used for energy, the body's going to say, well, we don't need it right now, but we're going to store it. And guess where it's stored? It's in our adipose tissue. Our fat is where we're going to start seeing an increase in fat deposits in our body because of that. So we've got to eliminate our sugar. So as far as carbohydrates, which is the #1 source of energy, where do we get it from? And the best source that we have, of course, is vegetables. Fruits is a good source of energy, but we got to be careful of eating too much fruit, because that can affect our blood sugar as well because of the natural sugars. But if we eat these vegetables that are non-starchy, or non-starch foods, and also low inflammatory foods. We don't realize that a lot of foods enhance inflammation. And I can give you an example where before I started my detox, I started eating a lot of at least small cherry type tomatoes, and of course I went out and bought a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, and I'm going to start eating healthy and I'm going to get better. But I started out eating a lot of these cherry tomatoes, and I noticed that I was starting to feel aches and pains and all over my body, to where I just felt miserable. I actually missed a couple of days of work, and finally got sick and threw up. And in that process, with the evidence that came with that, is that the tomatoes was the culprit. And so that tells me, my body's telling me to stay away from it, and that the body is intolerant to it. I love eggs, but sometimes I can eat eggs and my body will tell me it's intolerant. I'll have some diarrhea immediately afterwards. So you need to start listening to your body and let your body tell you that that food is not good for you, and so you need to stay away from it. So eliminate our sugars, and of course, the best source for carbohydrates are vegetables. And the vegetables that we need to be consuming are these examples that I'm going to give you real quick. Cruciferous vegetables, which is the broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, the bok choy, arugula, Brussels sprouts, collards, watercress, and radishes. The greens are going to be your collard, turnip, mustard, and your beets. Salad greens, romaine, spinach, chicory, endive, escarole, Swiss chard, just to name a few. Celery, cucumber, daikon, onion, garlic, and leeks are the vegetables you need to be consuming. And something you need to consume, actually just because it is definitely a modulator, or helps to improve your immune system, is mushrooms. And we need to consume water chestnuts, squash, zucchini, sweet potato, and okra, uh, and fruits. And like I say, limit the amount of fruits you eat, but berries seems to be the best source. Avocado would be good, especially if you want to add some protein to your diet. And olives, all these are good. There's an area here that I'm going to say that's the healthy starches or good starches for carbohydrates, which is peppers and tomatoes. But I've already told you the experience I've had with tomatoes. These are in the nightshade family, just like eggplant. That if you consume these, that you might start seeing some inflammation. If you consume excesses amount, you're going to have chronic issues with inflammation. So try to limit those as much as possible. You know, protein is very important for our body. We've got to have some protein. Well, actually need a lot of protein. It's just that a lot of people don't eat red meat, but they've got to still supplement their diet with protein, whether it be with avocado or tofu or any of those type of resources or sources of protein. So if you're going to eat different types of meat, it's also need to consider the good types of meat, which would be grass-fed beef or bison, free-range chicken and turkey, cold water fish. You know, I live on the Gulf Coast. We love our salt water, Gulf Coast, warm water fish, and then snapper, grouper, and different things like that. And then, but also we love our freshwater catfish and white perch. You know, the crappie. Those are excellent tasting types of fish, but we need to consume the cold water fish, the Alaskan salmon, the halibut, sardines, Atlantic mackerel, the haddock, pollock, the char, and trout. And the thing about it, too, another source of good protein is the wild game. You have a lot of protein sources without that much fat or limited amounts of fat. I know that where I'm from, a lot of people love their venison. I've got a brother that prefers deer meat or venison over beef anytime. One thing to make clear, though, is that fat is not what makes you fat. You know, contrary to what we believe or what we've been told or trained or taught before, it's actually the carbohydrates that is converted to fat is the culprit for us having an increase in fat. Fat is actually very important to our bodies for our health. It encourages weight control. Yeah, it encourages weight. It doesn't cause weight gain. It actually encourages weight control. Fat increases satiety. That's that fullness or satisfaction of eating, and to the point where you don't have that desire to continue eating when you've consumed enough food for what you need. You just don't continue to keep eating. Fat is needed for a healthy brain function, you know, to increase better mood, maybe sleep and stuff things that we've already mentioned. And contrary to what we've been taught for many years, fat actually improves cholesterol. We just got to make sure we consume the right fats in the right proportions, and for that though. There are good fats and there are fats that we need to stay away from. Fats that we need to avoid as much as possible are the trans fats, the margarine, different types of margarine, the peanut oil. There's corn oil, canola oil, soy oil, and even shortening, the vegetable shortening. Gosh, I remember growing up, you know, my mom cooking and all the frying that was done, and of course used vegetable shortening to do it. You know, thank goodness that, you know, we don't see much of that anymore, much cooking done with that. So these fats are actually harmful to our bodies. As far as our health is concerned, it has negative effects we need to eliminate. There are a lot of different fats that we can consume, and we'll be talking more about that in part two, in the presentation part two, about the healthy fats. Be a good discussion. There are foods also that cause allergies and inflammation, of which I've already mentioned some, but there's some things here that we're going to get into that's not going to make too many people happy. But the best foods to avoid inflammation and allergies are grains, wheat, rye, barley, corn, rice, and oats. People that have autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's, a large percentage of those with Hashimoto's, which is hypothyroidism due to autoimmune condition, has limitations as far as gluten. They have to go gluten restricted or stay away from gluten, which that's what's in these grain products, and we have to eliminate those. Nuts, dairy, eggs, sugary foods like desserts, peas and beans. Peas and beans have lectin, and we need to eliminate those because it causes allergies and definitely will cause inflammation if we consume too many of them. Legumes, peanuts, cashews, nightshade vegetables that I've already mentioned, as far as eggplant and tomatoes, potatoes, and peppers. So, and one thing too I want to bring out is that the significance of these inflammatory foods that people don't know, and which I didn't know until here recently, is that it takes 2 to 3 weeks to resolve just one exposure to one of these inflammatory foods. 2 to 3 weeks. And the thing about it is, you've just heard the foods that I mentioned. How many of you have actually consumed multiple items on this list in one day, and yet it takes 2 to 3 weeks to resolve just one exposure? So it's something that you need to really consider in changing some of your eating habits, dietary habits. And if sugar is the number one item that we need to radically eliminate from our diet, there's one item that we need to radically increase, and that's water. And everybody knows that. Everybody's been told, there's certain amounts of water that we've got to consume. And I've gotten creative with it with my cleanse and detox, and I've actually done pretty well. But you're supposed to consume about 8-ounce glasses of water daily, and that's the minimum. And I want to encourage you to try to stay away from these water products that are on the shelf at the grocery stores. They've got different types of dyes, the sweetening agents, and a lot of different things. And it's really recommended that we just drink pure water, filtered water, spring water, just water. Green tea, black tea, or herbal teas is fine. But we need to make sure that we don't go outside of that. Just stick with water, basic water. Not the carbonated waters. Just water. And I'll tell you some things I've been doing is at night, squeezing a half a lemon and some water, putting a little bit of stevia, organic stevia in it to sweeten it, and put a little bit of cinnamon and a very little bit of ginger. Spice it up a little bit. I'll put a little bit of cayenne in it, and stuff like that is good. It helps with the cleanse too. So there's a lot of things you can do with water that's naturally and healthy, and I would encourage you to do that. As far as fluids that we consume during the cleanse and detox, it's highly recommended and advised to eliminate alcohol during that time. And after the cleanse and detox, I don't have a problem. I think it's all right to, like 1 glass of wine with dinner. Even a beer or a mixed drink is fine. It's just when we start consuming too much that it's not normal. It's not, necessary, and to a lot of, degrees. It's definitely not healthy. So if we're talking about improving our health and getting healthier to eliminate risk of disease later, we need to be sensitive to the amount of alcohol that we consume. And I have told you this is part 1 of a 2-part presentation. Part 2 will be covering later, be coming to you in another couple of weeks or a week or so, and we will discuss the protocols in particular and each of the components of it. The different variations that we have depending on the individual's goals and desires, expectations, and so forth. But if this has sparked an interest in you and you're got some questions and you want some clarification on something, I'll be glad to talk to you. I encourage you to give us a call at CPT. You can call us locally at 251-626-2820. There's a toll-free number that we have if you're out of town, 866-591-6337. You can also, below the blog here is that there's a section, consultation calls for medical providers and patients. There's a Learn More button. Click on that, and it'll take you to a series of screens to the point where you will be asking for a consultation. I'll get a notification in my emails, and I will reach out to you and try to set up a time where we can talk. You can email me directly at cwells@cptinc.org. That is cwells@cptinc.org. And I will return your email. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. If you want to talk a little bit more detail, I'll be glad to get in touch with you and set up a time where we can talk. It's time to get healthy. It's time to do it. Now's a good one. It's cold. Days are short. It's a good time to do a good cleanse and detox. Let's get started, and then come back to our part 2 presentation, and we will discuss the details of the continuing part of a weight loss program that we've developed here at CPT, and get you healthy and get you feeling better and to a healthier lifestyle and a healthier living, and to where you get to the point where you're enjoying life again. Come back to us. Love to see you. Love to talk to you. I'm glad to have you here for the presentation. I appreciate you joining in, and I hope you have a blessed day. All right, bye-bye.